So the agenda for today, I'm going to explain to you what is Power BI. So some of you might not know exactly what this is or have a vague idea. So we'll cover what this tool is, the Power BI environment, the different apps that are used in conjunction with each other in the environment of Power BI and linked with Business Central. And also, so we're going to see how Power BI works directly with Business Central to use it as a database and to create our reports. We're also going to see these new reports using embedded Power BI reports out of the box. These are the new reports that are being released right now. And just a quick overview of our services at the end. So what is Power BI? Power BI is a collection of software services, apps, and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. So we have a few keywords here: software services. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a collection of different softwares. We're going to see three main tools that we use more often. Apps, you can create reports, download reports, and they are published as apps. So this gives you like a container that contains the reports, and you can publish and decide to control who sees what. It's a better security and a better way of controlling the content that you're sharing. Connectors, there are over 100 different connectors that you can connect to different databases, anything from a Excel file, a PDF file. And let's say you have an annual report, there are different graphs in there. You want to extract the data to make visuals out of them. So you can connect to PDFs, you can connect to CSV files, you can connect to SQL databases. And in our case, I'll be showing you later, you can connect directly to Business Central or CRM database and extract the data to do your reporting. And again, also you see it's unrelated data sources. So they're different sources. So you can bring all that back together in one place to have a coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. I'll show you another example. There's interactive tools that you can use in Power BI that help you to drill into the data. So I'll show you that too. Your data, as I was saying, your data might be Excel spreadsheets, a collection of cloud-based or on-premise hybrid data warehouses. Power BI lets you easily connect to your data sources, visualize and discover important insights. And you'll see this presentation will be made available to you. And at the bottom of most pages, you'll see a link. This is a brief summary of what's found in these Microsoft Learn documents. So there's a bunch of documentation online supplied free by Microsoft that goes in much more depth in all these notions. So the Power BI environment itself, the three main tools I'll be showing you today, there are others, but the three main ones, we have Power BI Desktop, we have Power BI Service, and we have mobile apps. So essentially what you do is you create your reports in Power BI Desktop. This is a free application. Anybody can download it and you can play around with it. So this is a desktop tool. And also with all our Microsoft work accounts, we all have this free. This is Power BI Service, Power BI Online. So you just need to log in to Power BI Online. The first time you'll need to enter your email to activate that page, and you'll be into the service. And you have that for free also. So you'll see how it connects together. So Power BI, you can publish your reports in Power BI Service and have different tools in there. Basic free. It's only you. You can't share your reports. You have it like your own sandbox to make your own reports. So everything's free. You can do everything. All the functions are there, except some features that the licenses, Power BI Pro minimum, they give you. So you have a automatic refresh. You have you can set schedules to refresh your reports daily. You have communications. You can share your reports. You can create new workspaces, invite people that have Power BI License Pro also. But free, you can still do all of this. If you have Pro, then you'll have more features, of course. And once it's published as a service, you can download the apps and see the data also from your phone, tablet, or whatever. As I mentioned, the three parts, you'll have the Windows desktop, Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service, and the apps. They're available for Windows, if Windows Phone still exists, iOS, and Android devices. These three elements, Power BI Desktop, Service, and Mobile, are designed to let you create, share, and consume business insights from wherever you are. So this is how everything relates to each other. So I'll show you a few things in Power BI in the different tools to show you how these things actually work and give you a better idea of how to leverage them to work with your data sources. So in Power BI Desktop, it's a free application you install on your local computer and lets you connect, transform, and visualize your data. So this is essentially the ETL, extract, transform, and load of data management. Here you have a few key points to help you understand its features and benefits. So mostly it's multiple connections. As I mentioned earlier, you have multiple sources you can connect to, over 100. Data transformation. So once you get the data you want, you import it into your system and you can do transformations. I'll show you a few examples. And then you have interactive visuals, share and collaborate your reports. So before I go into the tool, I'll show you an example of the interactivity that's possible. So you see, this is an example I made for the payables and receivables accounts. So as you can see, I have my main calculation totals on top here. I have filters on the left here. You can filter out. So let's say I'm in 2022, 2023. So as you can see, all my filters is applied to all the visuals. You can do different filters as you like and what's relevant to your data. Also, again, the interactivity. You can click on a data point, and since it's the way it's built, you can see the relationship between this data. So here are my payables. This is my due period. So they're all due over 60 days. I don't pay my suppliers. Here are my top 5 suppliers, and from this data point, I owe to this supplier. And again, these are my top 5 payables over here. Just an example. And also you can drill through. So let's say this is an executive view. This is like a recap of all the data, but you'll get a question. Let's say, what's this $90,000? It's a lot of money. What's going on here? So you can configure it to right click and you can extract the data, a drill through. So I have a details view. If I click that, it shows me the details behind that data point. So you see my $90,000 that I owe. These are the 3 bills, the 3 invoices that are due. So I have 3, and the sum of this is my 90,000. So from one level, high level view, you can set it up to have details to drill through, and it can be done multiple levels. So let's say you drill through here. It's not made like this, but just so you know, if you set it up in a different way, you can drill through again through this data. So it's multi-level, so you can really drill down to get as much details as you want from your data. So that's the interactivity part. And again, for sharing, once you've created your reports, you can easily share them with your team organization via the Power BI online service, promoting information and data-driven decision-making. Another way to share is through teams. So sometimes, let's say you have reports or performance metrics or whatever you want to share with your team. You can, in your team, in your channel, you can add, if you add an app here, you can go find Power BI. You insert it, and then you just link it to the report that's published in your Power BI online. But again, people need to have Power BI licenses to view this or to publish it, but it gives you an idea of what could be done for sharing data with your team, your colleagues, or whatever. So everyone who has access to this channel with a Power BI license can see the report, and it still works exactly the same way. You can drill down to the information. All the functionalities are there. And instead of going to Power BI online and back and forth to your different tools, you can just embed it into your teams like this. You can also do that in SharePoint. There's a SharePoint visual that you can use, embed that report in SharePoint so if you use SharePoint a lot. So different ways of sharing the data, not only through the Power BI service. So if I get back to a few examples for you before we go to the Power BI online, I'll show you a few examples of what can be done in terms of connecting to your data source. So if I go back to Power BI Desktop, so I start with a new report. On the main menu here, you have your data. These are your different connectors. So you see they have the most popular ones: Excel, SQL, Dataverse. Myself, we're lucky with Business Central. We have a connector that's made specifically for Business Central. So if we click on the button here, so get data, so this pops up here. So you see you have a bunch of them. So these are all connectors for different data sources. So let's say you see you have from a text file, from an Excel file, You can even go on a folder. So let's say sometimes there are systems that every day or periodically they save a CSV file or a Excel file to a folder to get a data dump for reporting after. So instead of linking it every time there's a new report or a new Excel file is created, you can simply link to that folder, and every time a new document is generated, it'll all be automatically be added to your data set in Power BI. So that's pretty useful in many occasions. So again, Access databases, SQL, data marts, you have a bunch of them. All the most popular ones are there. But for me, I'm doing Business Central reports. So as you can see, we have a Business Central connector. There's this one, this cloud, and there's local. This one's for on-premise. So certain customers we have are still on the on-premise version, so they have a connector for that too. So I'll use the cloud connector. So the first time you connect, you'll need to enter your credentials. So I'll do that right now. And there's the MFA. An important note is all the same data security that are applied across the Microsoft applications, different services, Office, different software, all that security follows with Power BI. So again, as an example, with Business Central, we have permission sets. Different permissions are assigned to different users. Those permissions follow in Power BI. So let's say I'm in production. I don't have access to financial information. So my credentials, my permissions prevent me from seeing financial data. So if I go do a report for, let's say, operations, and I just happen to stumble upon financial data, there's no worries. I can't access it. It keeps the same security applied to the data source as is used in Power BI, and you don't even see the tables actually. So the security is there, so there's no danger of giving access to Power BI and the data source. As long as the permissions are well maintained to that user, they'll follow to Power BI. So once I selected my data source for Business Central, as you can see, now it brings me to this navigation here. There's production and there's sandbox. This is my different environments. Just show you so you can see the parallel. So if I go into Admin Center, all Business Central environments have one production environment and up to 3 sandbox. So we can do tests, simulations, development. So as you can see here, my production and my sandbox QA, this is what I see in Power BI right here. So production and sandbox QA. If I click in production, I see my 2 companies. Again, if I get back to my Business Central, as you can see in production, I have these 2 companies. So you can really navigate to select what data you want from which company. So I'll go with my company. I have more data here. So I go here. No, sorry, it's Cronus. So I'll go with this. And once again, if I click on Cronus, you'll see there's advanced APIs, standard APIs, and web services. The advanced APIs, we need to develop these. I'm creating one myself at the moment. It's an API. You publish an extension to Business Central, and you can decide which tables and which fields you want to expose in this API. And what it does is it exposes the different database pages in your advanced APIs here. And sometimes you'll notice that if you do business with ISVs, third-party applications that are installed in your Business Central environment, you'll see them here. So there'll be an advanced API that extension uses. So you'll often see them pop up here. What I suggest you do, start with the standard APIs. These are a collection of the most standard, the most common APIs that people will use. So you see you have a lot of information, financial information, accounts, aging, you have vendors entries, you have bank accounts. So I recommend, and so does Microsoft more and more, to use these before the web services that we'll see in a minute. It's a better technology, newer technology, much more efficient. It can handle larger volumes of data and much faster. So it's recommended. So when you think of doing a report, before using the web services, take your time to go look what's available here in the standard APIs. And you see here when you click a table, so let's say contacts, if you open it up here, you have a visual here that shows you a sample of the data. So if you're exploring and you're not too sure what's available, you can always click on the table and take a look at what's available for you. So let's say I'm doing a report on my general ledger entries. I click here, and I'm not too sure what's available, so I want to do a financial report. Okay, so this is looking promising. So yeah, so I'll select this. I have a bit of data that I can use, so I'll go select it here. And the third option is we have web services. These are the most available for you, the most easily accessible, and no development needed at all. So the way this works, if I get back to Business Central, again, just before, we have a bunch of them that are already available for you. So again, just explore, see what's available for you, and if it can be useful for you for your reports. If it is, just click on it, and once you do the import, it'll be selected for you. But I'm looking through the list and I'm not finding what I need, because you see there's a selection, but there's not that many. So what I want to do is I get back to Business Central. Let's say I want to do a sales report. So I go into my sales and I go into sales orders. I want to report on with my current opened sales orders, let's say. So here's my list. So this is what I need to do my report. So what you can do is you can do Control Alt F1. And there's this page inspector that'll show up here. And what we need for our report is page, not tables. Tables is what feeds the data in the background, the database tables. But these are page views. These are views for those who know SQL or whatever. You create a view, and this is what shows you the data that are held in the database tables. So Business Central, what you view here are pages. So my number here is 9305. So I'll just copy this. I can close this because just close it right away, because it slows down the system pretty much when you're navigating after. Now I have the page number I need for my report. So I just go search for web services. This one here. And here's a list of all the web services that are available. So there are different types. They're query, page, and I think endpoint. But for our need right now is a page. So as you can see, you have the page, you have the number, you have the name, the service name. This is what shows up in Power BI. And you have OData URL here. This is what Power BI uses to show my web services here. So this is the OData URL showing the service name. So I look here, my sales order list isn't available, so I need to add it for me. So I'll do new. It opens up a line here. You see there's code unit. This is often used for applications or extensions. So ignore that. There's page and query. So our need is a page. It was 9305. Do you see sales orders? So I need to name it in a way that I can find it easily. So what I do myself is I do Gestisoft. I put the page name, so it's easy to know where it's coming from, and sales orders. So and then you need to just click on publish. This is published, as you can see. Then when you tab out of here, you see it just generated a link right here. So I have what I need. So if I get back to Power BI, I need to do a little refresh. There's this little icon here. And I'll go back to my company, Cronus, web services. And sometimes the list can be pretty big. So that's why I like to name it in a way. So for me, Gestisoft, when I do developments for my customers, I mention to them, and we tell their IT department, if you see Gestisoft in here, don't do anything. Don't delete them, because they're used in reports. So you can do maybe the same thing. You can do, maybe you're doing a financial report. You do a prefix finance with the name of the web service. You can do operations. So people will know what it's used for. And just a quick note, you can add multiple ones. So let's say 9305, 9305. You could add a second line, name it, let's say finance for this one. and use it in another report. You can add multiple lines and it doesn't cost you anything in terms of performance or memory or whatever. It's just another line. It's just a link that's generated and it points to the same data source. So sometimes it's useful if multiple people do multiple reports and if somebody has it happened in the customer with who I do work for, their IT guy decided to remove anything that he didn't find useful. And he saw a bunch of stuff that we were using in reports, and he just went to delete it. Oh, this isn't useful. I don't know this, so let's just delete it. All my reports were broken. We had to redo all the data sources. So just a quick note from experience, name them in a way and tell your people that have access to this, please don't touch it. So once this is done, I get back here. And just as I was saying, since it's named in a way that I know, I just search for Gestisoft. And it takes out everything that I have here named Gestisoft. So as you can see, my name, my published name, this is what I see here. So I'll take my sales order report. And for the example that I want to show you, I'll use the GL entries. So I'll select this one here. So there you go. I selected a few tables, just looked around, poked around in the system. This is what I got available for me. I was able to find a way of identifying the pages that I needed. So here you go. I'm ready to do my report now. So you can load the data right away in Power BI, or you can transform. So that was the second step that we saw earlier. So transformation can be anything. You can do very advanced programming, formulas, manipulations, calculations, but it can be really simple. It can be simple as, I'll just have my example here, as selecting a few columns that you need. So here, so this is my GL entries that I want to work with. So I'll go find, let's say I want to select, okay, I need this one here, posting date, document type, document no, and I'm going to get the amounts. Further out here. So I have the amounts. I do the debit and credit. And that's it. So I have all I need. So I just right click, delete other columns. So I'll delete other columns I didn't select. So here you go. So I have this here. And I want to, let's say I want to do a report on everything that's been invoiced, all the invoices that are being sent. So one transformation, I remove columns. The other one, I want to, on the header here, you can click on the right and you can filter out the information. So I want to do an invoice report. So I click on invoice, do OK. So there you go. I have selected the invoices, the columns I need for my report. And let's say you want to do it for the year. So you can go into different filters. You can do between two dates, in the next few months, the past few months. So you have a bunch of dates that the system recognizes which type of data. Sometimes it does a few bugs, but mostly it does a good job. So you see, it recognizes this as dates. So if you want to filter out your dates, you go to filters, chronological filters, and you see you have different date manipulation filters. Same thing if it's numbers, then you can filter out for numerical numbers between higher than, lower than, and whatever. So there's a context filter depending on the type of data that you need. So this is what I want. This is what I need. So I'm good. So now I just need to load these tables into my model. So I just do close and load. It'll take a second. And then I'll show you just a quick example of a few manipulations that you can do once you have the data. And then we'll switch over to the next topic right after that. There you go. So as you can see, if I go into the data view, as you can see, this is the new table that I just did with my transformations. So I'm ready to go with this. And also, once you're in here, you can do different other transformations. Have column information, so it recognizes as a date. And here you can change, like, say, date type. I like to show it this way. You can change data, whatever. So you can clean it up to make it usable for you. Once that's done, you can create different elements. So let's say I want to insert a title for my report. There you go. I already had it on the side, so just I didn't have to work with this. And now, as you can see on the right here, there's a build pane here. And you have access to a bunch of different visuals, histograms, bar charts, line charts, maps. You can have decomposition trees, Gantt charts, or whatever. But you're not limited to this. You see here, there's like little 3 dots on the bottom. Get more visuals. And you have a bunch of them here. So let's say you can do a search. Again, I like to, so this is a Gantt. So as you can see, you have a bunch of them. This one for Microsoft is free. So if you go into the card, it gives you an explanation of what that visual is. So before downloading it, you can at least know what's possible to do with it. So it gives you a few visuals. It explains to you what it can do. And also it gives you the pricing. So this one says it's free, but be careful. Sometimes it says it's free, but it's free to download and test data. But if you actually want to use it, there's in-app purchases that you need to do. I think this one, there's an example. So you can download it, you can get it for free, but you need to purchase stuff once you're in the application. And most often it's to connect your data source. So to get that connector, to be able to import your actual data and not just the demo data, that's where you need to pay. And it's very often the monthly subscriptions or yearly subscriptions. So just be aware of this. So every time you go see an app, just take the time to read what it offers to you and make sure the terms of use are clear. Because let's say you assume it's free, it looks free. You start doing your reports, ready to publish. And once you publish it online, then it doesn't work because you need to pay to have it published. So you can get caught out by that very often. So just be careful, read the terms here, and you'll be ready to go. So once that's done, you just need to get it. It imports it, and it installs it in your build options right here. So let's say I want to create a list. I'll do a quick report right now. So I'll select the list or the table view. So I can move it around. I can align it the way I want. And now, as you can see, I have my different elements here from the table that I just transformed earlier on. So let's say I want to go by posting date. As you can see here, it shows it as a hierarchy. We won't go into depth. I'll show you an example after, but I just want to show it in terms of the date itself. So there you go. Then I want to see let's say document type. I want a document number and the amounts. There you go. So you see already in a few minutes, I have myself an invoice list right here. Let's say I want to see this visually. So I can choose a bar chart like this. It's already placed correctly. Good. So now let's say in my x-axis, this represents the time. So again, I'll take my dates and I'll put it in my x-axis. There you go. And you see it created that hierarchy again. I'll show you how that works. That's pretty fun to use. And then now I need the amounts for my columns. So my y-axis. There you go. So you see the first level right here, it shows me as year. This is my first level of the hierarchy right here. If you click these 2 double arrows here, you click down, it brings you down to the quarter. So per quarter for 2023, quarter 2024, you can click down again, per month 2023, per month 2024, and finally per day. So every day that's composed into your model. So again, and you can come back up again in the hierarchy like this. So get back to the quarters. So just quickly connect into the few data sources, bring it back in. You could already start doing relation reports like this. And there's nothing really, we didn't program anything, we didn't develop anything. But of course, you can go really much more complicated if you want. But for basic reports, starting to extract data to get a handle of your information, this is the way to go. And finally, I see time is flying, so I'll just show you how we use now Power BI online. And that'll relate to the next step after. So to be able to, this is my report, it's done. I like the way it's presented. I can now publish it on, so to do that, I need to, on top right here, I need to connect to my account. So you see, this is the wrong account. So I'll disconnect and I'll connect to the right account. I'll just get my credentials. Oops. Oops. So again, the security is there. So I just need to do my multi-factor authentication. All right, so now I'm connected to the service. So if we go to the, so this is the Power BI service right here. So we'll skip over a few things. Not everything is relevant to our discussion today, but there's the home screen here. So this gives you the recommended topics, the recent activity, recent reports that you looked at. You can favorite things. So you see if you go over different resources in the service, you can click the star and it'll include it to you in your favorites tab here. If you have applications, you'll see them here also. So you list your apps. And yeah, so this is relevant. So, and you have the apps here. So this is the list of the apps that we'll be seeing again in a short while. So this is where you publish your apps, you install your apps. And also you have workspaces. So this is one thing I was mentioning earlier. If you use the free Power BI, you'll still have access to all of this, but you can't install apps. You need Power BI Pro to install apps. Also, you'll only have My Workspace available for you. You won't have these other workspaces. You need Power BI Pro for that. So you have your own workspace, you have your own sandbox, you can do your own reports, no problem. All the functionalities are there in terms of developing reports, but you're limited in terms of workspaces, applications, and everything that's communication between colleagues and including people to your reports. You're limited without a Power BI Pro license for that. So as you can see, if we go to workspaces, so I click here. When you publish a report, you always have two documents. You have the semantic model. This is the data, and the model, the way it's, the relationships are created, your calculations, everything that's data related in the background. And you have your visuals, your report. So if you click here, you can go into the sales report in this case. So that's all we need to know for now. And sorry, yes. And from here, you can export data from Excel in PowerPoint. You can embed reports in PowerPoint. You can share, whoops, wrong button, sorry. You can share with your colleagues. You can send a snapshot of this report. So there are various options for you to communicate information once your report is published in the service. So what I want to show you, just a quick example, I finished doing my report. Everything's done. I'm ready to publish it. So in the main menu here, at the end, you have publish. So you click here. Just ask you to save. As you can see, the workspaces that I had in the service, all these here, I see them here. Now I can decide where I want to publish them. So I'll use my workspace. I select. It'll either publish it right away or tell you that, wait a second, there's a report with the same name. Do you want to replace it? So if you know what you're doing, it's okay. I'm doing an update on that report. I'll just replace it. So it'll take a few seconds. There you go. So now it's published. I'll get back to the service right now, and I'll go into my workspace. So again, on the left here, workspaces, workspace. There you go. So you said I have my report. It just published 11:39 today. So if I go into the webinar, sorry, there you go. My report is there. It works exactly the same way. Well, the relation isn't good, but so it works the same way. Everything I developed in my Power BI desktop is now available in the service. If I have Power BI Pro with my colleagues, I can publish it in a specific workspace and invite them to come in. So what you do is you go back to your workspace and you can, sorry, wrong example. I don't have that menu. So in a workspace like this, what you can do is you can manage the access on top here. So if you click here, I'm there by default. I'm the one who created the report. Also, you can add people or groups. So you start typing and it'll find people in your organization. And if that person has Power BI Pro, you can invite them to the report and you can select what type of access you give them. Admin, so they can do anything, or a contributor member. I'm not exactly sure the difference, but they can do new reports and publish them without modifying your own report, or just as a simple viewer. They can only view the reports. So I add the person. There you go. And you can always come back and change this after to manage the access of the person. You can change their contributor type and whatever, or you can simply remove them. So this is how you manage who sees what in your reports. And again, as you can see, the report is all there. Whoops, yeah, it works. And if I get back to my report I just showed you, you can go into the settings and schedule. It's not set up correctly, won't waste time, but you can activate the automatic refresh and set up periodical updates. So on a daily basis, once per day, select the dates, the days, or you can select multiple times a refresh during the day. With Power BI Pro, you can do up to 8 automatic updates daily. So you set up the schedule and it'll run every time it meets that schedule. So that was for Power BI Online. So we covered this just now. And the mobile applications, one last comment here. If I get back to Power BI Desktop, when you do the development of your reports, you can go into the view, find here, and there's a mobile presentation here. So what you can do is you go in here, it shows you a telephone view. And on the right, you have your visuals that I just created in my report. So I can take them, drag them in here. Sorry. Just place this here. I can take the visual, just drag it here. And take the list and put it here. And it's like an endless scroll, so you can add as much as you want. There you go. So there you go. So I just, in 2 seconds, I just created an app for my, let's say people let's say salesmen are on the road, they need to get the information on their sales, whatever. Directors are off their meeting, whatever. So they can have it on their phone, have it on their tablet. And once this is done, you can get back to here. When you publish the report, as I showed you, it's now available in the Power BI service. So the person just needs to install the app on their phone, connect with their work account to this, and they'll see that new report for their mobile phone. All right. So that's pretty much it for the you'll have more information. And again, you can go view the links that we supplied to have more information in detail. But this is the main functions that are used most commonly. As I showed you, we'll get back to this after I showed you the apps. In the environment for Business Central and Power BI, what we do essentially is that we can use Business Central as a database, as a data source. So that's what I showed you when I connected to BC. I import my data here. I push it to the Power BI service, and I can consume it on my phone. And there's one last thing that we can do. It's pretty cool. If we get back to Business Central, instead of having to go back to the Power BI service every time, switch back and forth, in the role pages, there's a Power BI view here that you can select reports. So you can see my workspaces again that we just saw. So I have my workspace, I have the different workspaces I created, and I'm going to get my webinar app that I just showed, and it's now embedded in my role center, in my role page. So that way you don't have to go back and forth to the service and come back here again. And it works the same way. And you can expand it also. You can make it bigger, just easier to read. You can see it like this. And even if you want to put it full screen. So there you go. So that does the basic features of the back and forth. So again, we pulled the data from BC, put in desktop, did our reporting and transformations, and created the reports, published them in the service to make it accessible to people on different platforms. And we now brought it right back into BC to be consumed, to be viewed from BC instead of going back to the service every time. So that's it for the little demo of how Power BI can be used with Business Central. Again, as you saw with different connectors, you can use it for multiple sources. And now what I'd like to show you to finish this presentation is the embedded reports that are brand new right now with the new version 25 that's just rolling out right now. But just a quick word, as I mentioned earlier, there are reports like this that are available for Dynamics CRM 365. I included the link right here. If you click on the link, it'll bring you to the website, and you can take time to read it for yourself, but it explains to you the prerequisites, and it's a customizable template app. So what it does is if you go down here, you have two of them. You have the sales app and you have the analytics apps. Analytics gives you an overview of the sales pipeline. So you can see the operations that are ongoing and see what's going on with your pipeline. And here's the actual sales. Again, you see the pipeline, but you see much more data from the for sales. So these are available freely. And what's fun is that you have access to the data source itself. So let's say you start with these reports, you can build on them after, just so you can, let's say you have custom fields in the CRM. We always do a bunch of custom fields, custom tables that aren't readily available in these reports. So what you can do is open that report, edit it in Power BI Desktop, and go get those new tables, new fields, or whatever, and import it back in your report and update it according to your new reality with the developments that were done for your CRM. So just a quick word for that, what's available for you also. And the link is here, as I mentioned. The reports for Business Central right now it comes with numerous reporting for business intelligence, dashboard, and data analysis options. This wave of releases adds many new reports for finance, sales, purchasing, inventory, manufacturing, and projects. Power BI applications are available in the following Business Central modules. So they cover most of the business, finance, sales, purchasing, inventory valuation, projects, and manufacturing. There's a bunch of reports, 14 for finance, and so forth. There's over 76 total, I think they mentioned. Again, you have the pages here. And there's a quick setup. So I'll show you how that works so you can do it yourself, or if not, we can give you a hand with that, no problem. What we need to do is you need to install the Power BI applications. So I'll show you the following steps, how that works, and I'll give you a quick tour of how this can be used. So if I go back to BC, back here. All right, so I'll leave that there. The reports themselves. So if you go into, sorry, I click quickly. So the reports themselves, on top here, you have all reports, or if you don't see this in your view, you can click on this little hamburger icon here. So if you click all reports, it'll bring you to the reports hub here. So as you can see, I already have a few of them installed, or if you want, you can click on the search here and click and search Power BI. And you have all the reports where Power BI show up. And you see I have 83 hits. You can do these up and down arrows to scroll down to every one of them. So it'll bring you directly in the page where that search is available. And if you click on one report, let's say financial overview. Oh, no, sorry, I'll show you another one. So we'll go with the balance sheet. Sorry. So if I go into my balance sheet per month, it brings me to this. I'll show you the setup after. So I set up my environment to go from January 2022 right up to June 2026. You can expand these lines to have more information. You can click expand all. So it opens up the entire report. So you can see all the different levels of the report. And also what you can do is, let's say, as I showed you earlier, you can drill through this information. So let's say this data point here, I can click and you can go extract. There's two details you can go get: statement, income statement drill through, or balance sheet. So I'll go see what balance sheet tells me. So here's the data behind that data point. So for my 1.07 million, here's all the data that composes that value. So you can drill down to really get the details that you need to understand this report. What's also interesting is if you're not too sure what you're looking at, if you click on the question mark here, it gives you a quick information of what this thing does. The balance sheet, my one report provides month-to-month comparative view of a balance of data, a date for balance sheet accounts. And you can click on this link here that brings you to the Learn page of Microsoft that explains to you more in depth of how to use a report, what's the idea behind it, how the calculations are done. So for every report, there's an information page like this that you can explore by clicking the question mark here. And what's fun also is if this is a report you're using all the time and you really need this report, you don't want to find it every time, you can bookmark it in this little icon on the right here. So you can bookmark. So you click that. And once you get out, you see it shows up in your role page now. So instead of going every time, just click on it and it brings back to this report. There you go. Yeah, so that's done. Okay, so now the way how to install these things. In the links in the presentation, you'll be able to find this. This is the reports themselves for the financial areas, and you can click on these, and it brings you to the finance page, and it'll give you the information of all the financial reports. And what's fun is, if you go down a bit, it'll explain to you the functionalities, let's say finance analytics for the leadership team. So this report is usually meant for executive, director, or other high-level decision makers. So it's an executive view. If you go down a bit more, there's there's more functional finance and analytics management. So they need a bit more details. Finance analytics daily work. So they need like daily information for their dashboard. So all these pages explain to you what each report does and what's the meaning or the intent behind them for their use. To install them, there's this page also. You have the link in the presentation. Again, you can go over the prerequisites, essentially Business Central license and a Power BI Pro license. And if you scroll down a bit by here, you see you have links to these reports by business role. So you see I already installed these. So I'll go with the next one, inventory valuation. I click on this, open the link, and this brings you to the app source page. So you see the glance of the little preview of the reports, explain what they do, and you can get it now. So you just click on get it now, and it's free. All of this is free. So this is very cool. So take advantage of this. All of these are free for you. I'll just sign in. It'll just click through this, get it now. You need to sign into the Power BI Online. So there you go. So it just install. It'll take a few seconds, and it'll show up in our list of apps here. In our apps section, it'll show up as a new app. There you go. So my inventory valuation app is done. I can say go to app. It'll bring me to that report automatically. There you go. So you have your inventory valuation. There you go. And on the yellow bar that's right here, you need to do a little setup. I won't do it now, but you'll see documentation. It's pretty simple. You just need to enter your environment name, let's say production, as I was before, and the company name to which you want to report to. One important thing to mention is that right now it's per company. It's not a general that you can switch company to company. That's meant to be coming up later on. But right now, you need to have, it's a workspace that's done per app. So let's say this one is connected to my production environment A, company A. I want to have the reporting for my company B. So what you need to do is reinstall a second workspace, install the app in that second workspace, and link it to your company B. So you have, so that's what you need to do right now. Since it's not multi-company, you just need to do multiple instances of this app connected to different workspaces, and then you can connect to multiple companies. Just a little caveat, just they're supposed to address this later on, but for now it's a per company reporting. So once that's done, so we're ready to go in BC again to do the configuration for this. So I just searched for Power BI connector setup. It brings me to this, but also what you can do is you can go through, it's called assisted setup. Click on this. You search for Power BI, connect to Power BI, and it'll start this wizard for you. It's pretty simple. You just do next. Here you can choose your calendar type. If you have your fiscal calendar, standard, or weekly, if it's figured in your BC. If not, just go with standard. The first day of the week is Monday. ISO country holidays, you can just go, I'm in Canada. Do next. And this is, just make sure you're in the right time zone for you. And this is, as you saw earlier, I had from 2022 up to 2026 in my calendar, in my reporting. This is where you set that up. So you can decide to say, I want to go 1 year in the past or 2 years. By default, it's 3 years back. Yeah. So you can just cover this, or you can change the scope to, let's say, only this year or this year and the previous year. So this is what the report will give you in terms of date range in your view. Then you do next. You can choose your working days. And here, this is where you install the app. So you saw I already installed finance, sales, and now the one I just installed was the inventory valuation. So the only thing I need to do is click on these 3 dots, and you see my inventory valuation report is right here. Just make sure it's selected, and I do OK. There you go. And I do next. So as you can see, it's for this environment and this company. I just finished. That's it. So it's installed now. So again, to view these reports, what you need to do is go in all reports or the hamburger and search for, let's say, inventory valuation. You can access it right here. And just one thing, again, I'm a bit over time. I'll just finish with this. In your role pages, I had my previous report is here, the one we just created. But what you can do is you can click on personalize. Before we only had one Power BI visual. Right now we have 3 that are available. So if we go down here, I can personalize in the menu on top here. I can make it show up. So I just do show. I'll go get the second one here too. Show. I do done. So now there you go. So now I have 3 visuals. So now I want to see my new reports I just imported. So again, I see my workspaces. I see my different applications I installed. So I want to install my inventory valuation. There you go. And let's say my sales. Yeah, sales. Right here. There you go. Yeah. So there you go. So that's basically it. Now my reports are available to consult in my role page. I don't need to go back and forth with Power BI online. And this is the way to go, or by the all reports to view all your catalog of reports once they're installed. So that's it. That covers what I wanted to present to you. And just one quick mention before I go, to see if there were any questions. The services we provide at Gestisoft regarding Power BI, I do Power BI training for our customers. I do 2 different. This one is an introduction to Power BI, say Power BI 101. It covers what we saw at a little more detail. And we do advanced report development. I show different techniques, different suggestions, good practices of how you can actually do your own reports and put them in application in your environment. We do tailored training for our customers depending on their needs. So what we do with this is we have a quick call. We discuss of what you'd like to see, what you'd like to learn, what you'd like to cover in that training session. And then together we come up with an agreement. Let's say we cover, these are several points we want to cover. So it gives me a roadmap of what to do for the workshops. And we decided, let's say, let's do a 2-hour workshop, 4-hour workshop, or we determine the scope at this time. We can help you to install and configure the reports that we just saw together. And I can also do custom development reports for you if you need to. So you have a specific need that needs more advanced development, I can help you on that also. So if you have any interest for any of these points, just contact Kaylee at Customer Success Team, and she'll be able to fill you in and give you more information.